Understanding color scales in Excel. Color scales work a lot like data bars, but instead of adding bars inside cells, they change the background color of each cell based on its value. Think of it as a heat map. The shading tells you, at a glance, where a number sits relative to everything else in your range. Let's walk through how this actually works. Applying your first color scale. Start by selecting your data range. Head up to Conditional Formatting, and this time go down to Color Scales. You'll notice several options appear, and as you hover over each one, Excel previews what it would look like on your data. There are two main types here. First, you have 3 color scales. These use 3 distinct colors to represent your values. A common example is green, yellow, and red. Then you have 2 color scales, which transition between just 2 colors, like green fading into white. Which one you pick really depends on your preference and what you're trying to communicate. How the color gradient works. Let's take that first 3 color scale as an example. If you look at the screen tip, it explains that Excel applies a color gradient across your range. The color assigned to each cell indicates where that cell's value falls within the overall range. For this particular scale, the highest values appear in green, the very highest being a deep, dark green. The lowest values show up in red. Everything in between gets shaded along a gradient, moving from green through yellow and eventually down to red, depending on where each value lands. Once you apply it, you'll immediately see your highest values lighting up in green and your lowest sinking into red. Changing to a different color scale. Now, maybe you decide the 3-color version feels a bit overwhelming. That's fair. You can easily switch it up by editing the rule. Go into your Conditional Formatting rules, select the rule you just created, and click Edit. From there, you can change the format style to a 2-color scale instead. Then pick your preferred colors, maybe blue transitioning down to white. Click OK, then OK again, and your data updates with the new color scheme. When color scales work best. When you apply a color scale across a large data set with lots of columns, it can get visually noisy. It becomes hard to pinpoint specific values because so much of the shading ends up looking similar. Color scales tend to shine when you apply them to a single column of data. The visual differences become much clearer, and you can actually use the shading to spot trends. So let's try that. Clear the rules from your selected cells first. Go to Conditional Formatting, then Clear Rules from Selected Cells. Now select just one column. Let's say January's data. Go back to Color Scales and choose the blue, white, red 3-color scale. Now it's much easier to read. Blue clearly marks the highest values, and red shows the lowest ones, customizing minimums, midpoints, and maximums. You're not stuck with Excel's automatic calculations for what counts as the minimum, midpoint, and maximum. You can define your own thresholds. Open Conditional Formatting, go to Manage Rules, and edit your color scale rule. Inside, you'll see options for the lowest value, the midpoint, and the maximum value. By default, Excel picks the actual lowest value in your range and assigns it the darkest shade of your minimum color. The midpoint gets assigned to the middle color, and the maximum value gets the top color. But you can overwrite this. Change the type from automatic to a specific number. For example, set your minimum to 1,000, your midpoint to 2,000, and leave the maximum as is. Click OK twice, and your conditional formatting recalculates based on those custom thresholds. Sorting to read the scale more clearly. Now, try sorting the January column. Right-click, choose Sort, and select largest to smallest. This lines up the colors so you can clearly see the gradient from top to bottom. At the top, you'll see the highest January sales, such as laptop, shaded in blue. At the bottom, power bank appears in red as the lowest value. Because the midpoints threshold was set to 2,000, everything above that stays in the blue range. Anything under 2,000 moves into pink and then darker red. That's the logic behind the gradient. Now undo the sort to restore the original order and clear the rules from the selected cells to return the sheet to its original state.